Testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. I'll be with you guys in a second. Stay tuned. Put in the chat if the audio sounds good. Testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. Alrighty, everybody, good evening to you. Tuesday evening it is here. We got some snow falling in St. Louis right now. Very light snow, not going to accumulate too much besides the dusting. Maybe enough for a snowball. Maybe, we'll see. But that's going to be wrapping up here in the next hour. Sorry about that delay. I should probably go turn that off. I'll do that actually. Alright, that should look better. But anyways, like I was saying, we got a system going on through Chicago, northern Illinois, through Wisconsin, Green Bay, Milwaukee. We got Grand Rapids, Michigan, Traverse City, Michigan, especially that eastern seaboard of Lake Michigan. That's where we got a lot going on, and even some snow into the northeast. We saw a lot of snow, a lot of big fat snowflakes in Pennsylvania. I saw that in State College, Pennsylvania. So we're seeing a little in the northeast. Of course, that's being overridden by that warm nose. But let's just look at what we got going on with the low pressure center right now. According to the European model, look at this, 978 low pressure center. That's blizzard conditions possible here into Michigan, into northern Illinois. So Chicago tonight, it's going to be very blustery, very windy. That snow that's already falling, and that snow that will be falling for the rest of the night will be blowing around there in Chicago. So you're probably not going to want to go out on those roads. You're not going to want to go outside because it's going to be a pretty dangerous night to travel, especially from St. Louis up through Chicago, from Chicago to the Quad Cities, from Chicago up towards Green Bay. All of those areas are not going to be good areas to travel. But like what the title of the stream says, we're tracking another one of these bad boys, and it could affect places that were maybe skirted by this storm a little bit more. So let's get straight into it, looking at the European model. So the time frame we're talking about is Friday, into Saturday across the Midwestern United States and a lot of places that were just affected. So here we go. This is here early Friday morning. Here, this is around 3 a.m. Here's 6 a.m. See that snow starting in Chicago. Again, exact timing is going to change. Wide swath of snow across Iowa. Backside snow here across Kansas City. Heavy snow in northern Illinois moving into Chicago mid-morning there for Chicago. Mid-morning on Friday. Then we start to see this low deepen. And what I mean by deepen is I mean strengthen. We're going to have very, very windy conditions from Chicago, Grand Rapids, especially down towards St. Louis Friday morning, Friday midday, and Friday evening. And Saturday morning up towards Chicago, but you'll be cut off in St. Louis probably by the time we get into Saturday morning. But look, what's that? You guessed it. It's a warm nose. And what's that doing? It's keeping it all rain for St. Louis. I'm just telling you guys, the track St. Louis needs to have a big snowstorm. I'm not saying this can't be one. There's still a possibility of that. But the track St. Louis needs is this sort of track. It does not need this sort of thing, this sort of track that really pulls up warm air because the storm just bombs out and has to pull that up to sustain its significance. But the track that a storm that would significantly affect St. Louis needs is one like this, and that's just not what we're seeing here. So I don't think this is going to be a blockbuster storm by any stretch of the imagination in St. Louis. But here's Friday midday. Start changing over to snow around lunchtime in St. Louis. Again, exact timing, little iffy. But you're getting in on very heavy snow in Chicago. Very strong winds. Not in 75 low pressure center. I'd say it wouldn't be that strong. But still got to watch this as a possibility. Right to the east of St. Louis, but look at that heavy snow banding. This will majorly affect Chicago. This could be a storm that shuts down the city. I'm being very serious here. This could be a storm that shuts down Chicago, shuts down O'Hare, shuts down Midway, because of how intense those heavy snow bands are going to be and how long they're going to be and how persistent they're going to be for, a good stretch of around 24 hours we're talking about there in Chicago. So it's going to be very significant. Again, around 3 p.m., switching over to snow in St. Louis, but that's a very fast switch over. Euro wants to give us nothing in St. Louis. Maybe a couple light snow showers on the back end there. Pretty much nothing. Switch over, some little snow, maybe a dusting, and then we're out of it. And then continues those extremely heavy snow bands in Chicago. So Chicago, this is even more significant than the storm we are dealing with right now, and a lot more significant. A shutdown storm, a blockbuster storm for you guys. And then we got an extremely strong low pressure center. Look how tightly packed those isobars are here. Here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. Look, there's not even spaces in between those. That means this is going to be very windy for St. Louis Friday night, for Chicago Friday night with heavy snow falling, for Grand Rapids Friday night, for Detroit Friday night with heavy snow falling. In through here, if we get this scenario to play out, and this is what most models show, not this strong of a storm, but still a very strong storm, we're going to have a full-on blizzard. We're going to have a full-on blizzard. Visibility is going to be absolutely terrible. It's going to be horrid traveling conditions. And this type of storm, again, things can change, but this type of storm, which is very, very likely, I would say this strong of a storm isn't likely, but I think this type of storm that would bring very high winds to Chicago and heavy snow is really what we're looking at here. And I do think that could shut down the airports. I do think so. And I do think that could shut down interstates, that could shut down highways, that could shut down your roads in Chicago. So it's going to be interesting to watch here. Very, very strong system here. Not a lot stronger, but stronger than the one we're looking at right now. And then here we go into Saturday, early morning Saturday, and that's the last mile run. Some snow here in the interior northeast. That's very possible. And then once we get into Saturday, early morning, snow's pretty much done in Chicago, pretty much done in Grand Rapids. Still going to have some lingering heavy winds around. And that blowing snow, again, it will also be a problem with that drifting. In through here, I think that's where we're going to see our most significantly affected area from the system. So you just saw it, folks. And another thing I want to point out is this. Look how far down this 540 line is reaching into northern Louisiana, middle here in Mississippi, Alabama, middle Alabama, northwest Georgia, and that means that it's freezing here. If it's freezing in central Alabama, how cold do you think it's going to be in Missouri and in Illinois? It's probably going to be in the 20s or the teens, single digits, maybe even in the negatives up here in the upper Midwest. This is going to be a true Arctic blast coming in behind this storm. That's going to set up for another winter system through here as we go into, and maybe even stretch that south. We'll see as we go into Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday through Wednesday, and then up through the Northeast as well. So this Arctic blast is going to mean business. It's the real deal. It's a huge, huge Arctic blast that's going to be just plummeting our temperatures. Temperatures dropping like a rock Friday evening in Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City, Des Moines, Quad Cities. And then that will continue to the south as we go into Saturday and into Sunday. And then into Monday could get even colder. That heart of the cold will be coming down. Now, let's look at the Euro's snowfall totals. And wow, that's the one thing I got to say for this. This is 10-to-1 ratio, and we got 2 feet of snow in Chicago. Now, do I think this is probably overdoing it? Yep, I think it is. I think we could get maybe half a foot of snow in Chicago. If we really overperform, could we get 24 inches of snow? That's possible. But I think at least a foot in Chicago is probably a safe bet at this point. Again, that can change, but I really think this region in through here, we have those really heavy snow bands set up. I think that's where we're going to have our heaviest snow, biggest impacts. And this stretches all the way to Green Bay, a foot in Green Bay, well over a foot, half a foot in Milwaukee, but I think half a foot we could definitely get to in Chicago. This is the European. Down into St. Louis, again, it barely clips us. That backside snow maybe clips us for an hour or two. Could that get us an inch or two according to the Euro? Yes. Now, there's still disagreements. The GFS wants to give us a lot more. But the Euro doesn't really show this band in through here like the GFS does. It shows it back here into southwestern Missouri, 3 to 4 inches, but it doesn't show it in the St. Louis area. So that's something to watch from the Euro. That's what the Euro is showing, not what the GFS is showing. So, but just look at these snow totals. We're talking about Rockford, 15 inches of snow. Again, this is not a forecast, but this is just what the projections look like right now. Again, these are going to change, but this is going to be a significant, blockbuster snowstorm for Chicago. And we're talking about a system, a snowstorm that could shut down the city. And I don't want to, scare you guys. I don't want to extremely hype this up, but that's what we're talking about. I'm just saying facts. I'm just saying facts here that could definitely happen. This is a storm that could shut down Chicago, that could shut down a place like Grand Rapids, Michigan, that could shut down Milwaukee. Because that heavy snow banding is just going to persist for so long, for so many hours, multiple hours, that I really do think it could shut down the city. And we're going to have to watch it very closely. We're going to have to watch the storm very closely. If you're in Chicago, batten down the hatches. You got to get ready for this. Because this is going to be a significant, very significant snowstorm up there. Very significant. I think up to a foot. And could get up to half a foot if we overperform in Chicago. So again, if you're in the city, please start preparing at this point. Because this is going to be a huge, huge snowstorm. Huge snowstorm for Chicago. Now, let me check the chat real quick because I've been rambling on for a while here. Please start preparing at this. Hey Chris, how are you? Mr. Storm? Thank you, Max. Thank you for joining. Hi, Anthony. Winds are absolutely ripping out here. Up to 70. Wow. Wow. Stay safe. Hope the power doesn't go out up there. 14 views. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, so let's look here at the GFS. Now, the GFS does look a little different. Went too far forward there. But GFS, it shows a little bit different storm here for the Chicago area. So let's time this out here. Going into Wednesday and Thursday, we're seeing that energy coming down here into the Central Plains, into the Four Corners region. So let's continue to play this out. Here into Friday, snow north of the city, so north of St. Louis into northern Missouri, central and northern Illinois. Again, starting out Friday morning, going to see that heavy banding through Chicago. Strong winds starting to affect St. Louis by the time we go into lunchtime. And then according to the GFS, we get on a pretty heavy area of snow around lunchtime, but that's very narrow. Do I think this storm will have more moisture to work with, and the area of snow might look more like this or more like this? I think so. I think that's a real possibility. I think this storm is a little bit too strong to have that narrow of a snow band, but we'll see what happens. A lot less strong of a low pressure center from the GFS. At first, it was the one coming out strong and bold, but now it's not that one. The Euro is what's going on with the big, strong system. This would still bring 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts around noon, around lunchtime, afternoon, evening in St. Louis, with heavy snow falling. And that heavy snow could get us a couple of inches, according to the GFS. Now, Chicago, the GFS doesn't give you as big of a storm. You're still going to have a big storm. I don't care what the GFS is saying right now. To be honest with you, you're going to have a big storm. Pretty much all the signals are pointing at it. And we do see this system strengthen, but instead of it going a little bit more this way, the GFS wants to take it a little bit more this way. That would probably lessen your snow totals a little bit in Chicago, but it would still be a major storm. Maybe just not one that shuts down the city. But I still do think it's a very, very strong possibility that we do see a storm that shuts down the city here. Again, Friday into Saturday. And that snow pretty much tapers off into Chicago on Friday night. So not as long of a period of heavy snow there. So that's something to watch from the GFS. More snow, we're talking, in St. Louis than what the Euro's talking about, and less snow in Chicago. But then we do see a quick burst of snow in Cleveland, Detroit, say Fort Wayne, Indiana here around 3 p.m. Snow all the way out of the city by 6 p.m. Though, do I think that band over here will be bigger? Yes, I do think so. I think there's going to be more precipitation to work with. So I'll have to watch that trend, see if I'm right about that. And then the storm gets out of our hair by the time we go into Saturday mid-morning. So this is a little bit faster progression, less snow for Chicago. And so let's look at what the GFS has. And we still got a major system from Grand Rapids over through Chicago. Again, a foot of snow. That's a lot of snow. That's a big blockbuster snowstorm for Chicago. Rockford, around 9 inches. I think this is probably a more realistic outlook here. Chicago, around a foot. Green Bay, up to 7 inches. You know, the difference between the Euro and the GFS is the GFS does have that heavier snow band in through St. Louis, and the GFS does show 6 inches of snow. I think our max for this storm is 4 inches. And I'm sorry if you're a snow lover in St. Louis. I don't like that, but that's just what I think. I don't think there's going to be a long enough period and a big enough precipitation shield on that backside to have 6 inches of snow. Could we get up to 5? Maybe. And I just think that 4 inches is probably our max. It's probably our max. And that's probably at the most. Maybe 5 at the most, but for right now I'm thinking 4. And if we don't see what the GFS is hinting at, then maybe an inch in St. Louis. Maybe what we dealt with last Friday night here with that kind of surprise snow, 1 to 2 inches. So again, St. Louis is going to be a tricky forecast. Models are kind of all over the place. I'd say most models are trending towards the Euro, so we're going to have to watch that, see if the GFS does that. But for right now, the GFS is holding strong with 5-6 inches of snow in St. Louis. I don't agree with that. I think 2 to 4. I think 2 to 4. Again, that's not a forecast. That can change. But I think 2 to 4 is, for right now, from looking at the latest data, is a pretty good forecast for St. Louis. Thank you, Kay. Thank you. But still showing heavy snow in northern Missouri up towards Quincy, around 9 inches. And then we get this heavy swath of snow, 6 to 10 inches of snow through here. And then again, Chicago about a foot, and then really heavy snow in here into Michigan. But look in through here, this is where we're going to have really strong winds. And I would just extend that down to St. Louis. Might not have as much snow in St. Louis, but still are going to have that extremely, extremely heavy winds. And you only need like an inch of snow on the ground to get blizzard condition, blizzard criteria. You really don't even need that. You just need snow falling and blowing around 35 miles an hour for at least 3 hours, and you got blizzard conditions there. So we're going to have to watch that in St. Louis again. Tricky forecast. And then what does the National Weather Service blend of models say right now? And it's a little bit more what I'm talking about. 2-3 inches of snow in St. Louis. Up north, you got 5 inches in Quincy. Again, this is a conservative model, so keep that in mind. But conservative model shows 12 inches of snow in Chicago. You're probably getting maybe a little bit more than that. And then over up towards Milwaukee, 15 inches. So 15 inches for Chicago and Milwaukee. Not a forecast. Stay tuned for the forecast tomorrow and into Thursday. I'll probably have a video out tomorrow. But again, this swath right here, that's where we're going to probably have our heaviest snow. And especially, I think, through here is where we're really going to see it. I think that's where we're really going to see it. So Milwaukee, Chicago, Grand Rapids, Lansing. You got to watch this. Kalamazoo. I'd say we'll have an area here of maybe possibly 12 to 18 inches of snow. I think we'll have an area of 12 to 18 inches of snow in through here. I really do. So we're going to have to watch that. Again, St. Louis, I know most people watching this don't live in St. Louis. They don't want to hear about it. But just my opinion on St. Louis, I think 2 to 4 right now. I think 2 to 4 inches. I don't think it's going to be a blockbuster big snowstorm. If we can see the models trend back towards the GFS and show a little bit wider precipitation shield, a little bit wider area of heavy snow Friday evening, could we get 5 to 6? Yes, that's possible. We need to see that trend. And like I said with the last storm, if we don't see that trend, if we don't see that trend fast, we're not seeing it. We're not getting snow. We're not getting big snow in St. Louis. And we didn't see it. So if we don't see it trending tomorrow, then I'd say we're calling off big snow in St. Louis. But I still think plans Friday afternoon, Friday evening, you might want to double check on those. You might want to double check on those in St. Louis. Definitely in Chicago, cancel all plans Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Saturday morning. Cancel all plans. Quad Cities, probably in that same ballpark. Milwaukee, Grand Rapids as well. St. Louis, double check those plans and stay tuned to the forecast. But I think 2 to 4 is a good forecast for right now for St. Louis. Could that go up to 4 to 6 if we see models trend towards heavier snow on that backside for multiple hours? Yes. Yes, I think that's possible. But Friday afternoon, Friday evening, that's when we're going to see that switch over in St. Louis to a brief period, for right now looks brief, of heavy snow. So, that's not going to be the only problem we're dealing with is this storm. Another problem is severe weather. Day 3, so here on Thursday, we have a slight risk of severe weather down here into Louisiana, Mississippi, southern Arkansas, and into parts of eastern Texas. Now, day 4, we got another area to watch, and this is from the Carolinas down through the deep south. Very large area to watch for. 15% chance here for Friday. So Thursday, Friday, down here through the deep south. Severe weather watcher as we go on Thursday and into Friday. So please be prepared. You're going to have another round in Pensacola, another round in Panama City, another round up towards Birmingham, Atlanta, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, Raleigh maybe even, Columbia, Macon, Georgia, down towards Gadsden, Alabama here, Jackson, Mississippi, Alexandria, Louisiana, So again, we're going to have to watch that as well. Severe weather aspect can't be overlooked because we saw a tornado last night pretty much on the beach there in Panama City. Very dangerous situation last night, early morning, that unfolded there down in the Panhandle of Florida. And then here's the CPC outlook, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, and just wow is pretty much the only word to say here. Got almost we do have a 100% chance of below average temperatures through Missouri, Illinois, Arkansas, and pretty much the entire United States besides the western United States. Big Arctic blast coming down. This is going to be probably our big Arctic blast of the winter. And this is going to go into this weekend and early next week and sustaining maybe even for the next week. And this pattern could sustain for the entire rest of the month. Now, not these extreme temperatures, but this Arctic pattern with this very cold air could sustain itself because just how strong this blast of cold air is going to be in through here. So we're talking teens, negatives up into the upper Midwest, 20s, teens as your highs here throughout the Midwest, and then down through the South you could get 20s, 30s as your high, maybe even get a high of upper 20s, lower 30s in the Panhandle of Florida. I wouldn't rule that out. So this is going to be Arctic blast of the winter. We're going to have to watch Sunday through Monday, another chance of snow in through here and even up through the Northeast and down into the South. We're going to have to watch that. That's another chance there for snow here. But I think this sets up a storm path that could favor maybe these areas through here. So Memphis through Little Rock. I think this cold air is going to dip down. That boundary is going to be in through here. And then if we see snow, it's going to be that sort of path, probably cutting off the Northeast, but we don't know much about that yet. This would get the path south of St. Louis. And St. Louis, if this storm doesn't materialize on Friday, I think we're going to have to wait until maybe late January, February for another big storm possible. So just stay tuned, stay vigilant there in St. Louis if you're a snow lover. I know I will. Hopefully we'll get an above average season, but it's been really hard to come by these last couple of years. But again, this Arctic blast, it's going to be coming down. You really need to be prepared for that. Get your big winter coats out. This is when you're going to need them this weekend into next week. And start getting prepared because, again, this is going to be a very active weather pattern with that storm Friday to Saturday and the Arctic blast coming in behind it. Let me check the chat real quick. Thank you, CJ. My city just isn't getting snow. That really sucks. Sunday through Monday could bring more snow. It will be cold enough so it'll be too far south or be too light. Yeah, I'd say it's probably going to go too far south. Right now the GFS shows like 5 inches of snow for St. Louis with that. And the Euro's kind of on board with that as well. I think it's going to be too light. Heavy bands are going to be too far south to see that. Maybe an inch or two to add on to what we get Friday. We just need a big snowstorm, more than 5 inches at least. Yep, we do need that. I wish we could get it. I really wish we could get it. I really wish. I'm such a big snow lover. I love when it snows. Snow is my passion. I mean, weather's my passion, but snow is my other passion. I really wish we could get it. But have a good rest of your evening. Watch all of this back. If you just tuned in, watch all of this back for the entire forecast. I'll have a video tomorrow, probably green screen or the new TV setup. Catch me live on the Real Monica Adams Show. Oh, sorry about that. On the Real Monica Adams Show on Thursday. I was there this morning. I was there Monday morning, and I'll probably be there Thursday morning. You can find her, Monica Adams, Facebook, YouTube, The Real Monica Adams Podcast. So I'll be on that as well. Again, stay tuned for that video. Have a good rest of your evening. Bundle up. Get your heavy coats out. Chicago, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's going to be a big snowstorm this weekend. Start getting prepared, guys.